I'm a software engineer and I worked on products with millions of users. But for this project, I decided to vibe code it. Vibe coding, if you don't know, is the process of leaning back and letting the AI do the programming job for you. And yes, I'm rewriting the entire project after about 200 hours of vibe coding. So the project was basically automating the first part of video editing. We were trying to build a web application that takes raw footage from users, analyzes the video, removes silences, filler words, and most importantly, if you had multiple takes of the same scene, it would group them together and automatically pick the best take. And it was all algorithmic, so it wasn't like just call this certain API and let it analyze the video for you. And finally, it had a simple video editor at the end to polish and export the video. So it had some UI complications as well. Now you might be thinking, okay, this is obviously too complicated for the AI. But actually, it was AI's unbelievable ability to one-shot a complex part of the project that convinced me I can vibe code the whole thing in the first place. It is very surprising to learn what the AI could and couldn't handle at the end of the day. As you might have guessed, I had to confirm the viability of the core algorithm first. Just a simple command line tool that could analyze the video and output the timings of potential cuts. So I started talking to Replit Agent and Gemini 2.5 Pro. And they both had the same ideas, combining the analyzation of video transcription, audio waveform, and some visual cues to make the cut decisions. So I said, okay, this seems reasonable, and asked the Replit agent, just as a test, to write me the code. It did output the code and made the output a Premiere Pro XML file. And to my surprise, it just worked. Probably a week of work in about 20 minutes because I wasn't familiar with most of the tools. I wasn't familiar with the Librosa library that could analyze the waveform. I wasn't familiar with the small natural language processors that could run on the CPU to analyze the transcription. I definitely couldn't one-shot the Premiere Pro XML output. I didn't even know how it worked. It wasn't perfect though, it was like 80% done. So I thought, okay, this is fantastic. Let's just continue building, then I can later come back and fine tune this algorithm to like 99% accuracy because I had to do a lot of testing, and realistically you could never expect 100% accuracy in these complex environments. That was the reason for that simple video editor at the end to polish the final product. I kept drinking tea, listening to the Star is Born soundtracks and vibe coding away. Frankly, the rate of progress was amazing and sort of addicting. Why would I ever slow down to look under the hood and see what the hell is actually going on? A week passed by and I could confidently say 60% of the project was done. But I was starting to notice that the agent can't one-shot my new requests. I had to copy the code into multiple different AI models and then refine it by hand a bit to make it work. But it was still worth it. It was definitely faster than me realizing and understanding how everything works in details. But for the next month, the rate of progress kept slowing down until the whole thing felt like a giant melting hot mess. The agent wasn't able to apply any changes without breaking everything else. The interesting part was that the project felt like 80% done. If it was a handwritten project, it would probably be ready in a week. But this project felt like infinite years away from launch. And if you've ever made a software product, you know it's never done. You have to keep developing it forever. And that wasn't happening with this hot mess. So I had to make the difficult decision and I started refactoring the entire code after about 40 days and more than 200 hours of vibe coding. It was a frustrating experience, but my takeaway wasn't that AI is bad at coding. I still use AI on the same project. In fact, I don't write a line of code, but my new approach is much more robust and reliable. Vibe coding starts strong, but it plateaus really fast. In my estimation, there were two fundamental issues with vibe coding. Number one, if you remember, the core algorithm of our app wasn't reliable enough. In any real software project, and I don't mean enterprise high-stake projects, I mean any project with minimal requirements for reliability, safety, and functionality. These small imperfections accumulate until the whole app is unsustainable. It's impossible to develop and maintain. As human developers, we constantly go back and forth and refine our previous decisions. But these AI models, they just don't have the capacity to envision all the parts together. They keep adding partially flawed code until it's out of control. Second, The AI models are limited by their context window. So any overall architecture or structure they might have in their mind is just gone when you reach the context window. Then the next AI comes in and has to rely on its best guess as to what the other AI was planning to do. In the course of a month or even weeks, you might have hundreds of different AI instances contributing to the same code. It is very unreasonable to expect a reliable software even if each AI individually writes perfect code. I realized I can't avoid being deeply involved with the project. The reality is, even when I hire software engineers, I have to actively participate in the development process, or the outcome would be some janky, trashy code that wouldn't work as I intended. And when my software engineer is going to leave every 100,000 tokens or so, I need to be the one who understands the project. But the question was, how do I do it in a way that I'm not pouring hours and hours into reviewing AI code? Number one, it was important that I understood the core technologies, just a very basic understanding of what each of these technologies do. What is the file structure and how do all these technologies talk to each other? In my example, I was using Express.js backend, Vite and React frontend, a PostgreSQL database, some Python scripts, and you get the idea. You have to know the smaller parts. Actually, probably 2 or 3 levels deeper than what I just described. The goal is to break the absolutely giant black box that is the entire application into a bunch of smaller black boxes and understanding the processes in between them. The AI is just another abstraction layer. The same way I trust the compiler to work, I trust the AI as and this is a very important part, as a thin layer of abstraction. That's the analogy of riding a bike the whole way instead of driving and then having to crawl later. Second, anytime I want to add something slightly complicated or I feel like some part of the code is becoming hard to manage, I look for open source tools. Oftentimes the AI tries to handle the complexity on its own, all the while a very solid open source solution is waiting out there. For example, I needed a timeline and the AI just couldn't handle all the complexities. Wavesurfer made it a lot easier. And when there is no open source solution, I just ask the AI, if I wanted to implement this feature, what would be the plan? And then I make it implement its own plan step by step, including rewriting previous code to be compatible, while I rigorously test each step to make sure it is working as intended. And finally, if it's not working as intended, I don't hesitate to roll back to a stable version. Now I'm coding faster than ever. I can't be vibe coding while watching a YouTube video or listening to music anymore, but I'm vibe coding real software projects, ambitious projects, without writing a single line of code or even always reviewing the code. I just take methodical and reliable steps. The real software opportunity in AI is shooting for ambitious, reliable, long-term projects, not building another AI slop like everyone else. That's definitely unsustainable. So hopefully go shoot for the stars and I'll see you in the next one.